If you are looking for a dining scene, a bar scene, trendy apartments, nightlife, and incredible views, Chelsea is going to be the neighborhood for you. So Chelsea actually has a very special place in my heart because it was the first neighborhood I actually worked in New York City. I spent so many days and nights in Chelsea. I feel like I learned the neighborhood so well just from that. And honestly, it was my dream to live here in my 20s, even though the neighborhood wasn't exactly in my budget at the time. There's so much to love about this neighborhood, and there's honestly something for everyone here. The only problem is, like I said before with the budget, it does come at a price. Definitely not one of Manhattan's cheapest neighborhoods by any means. So if you are planning to move here, be prepared to spend unless you just stumble upon a really good deal at the time. Chelsea rentals average $3,995 for a studio apartment. A studio, not a one bed, definitely not a two bedroom, a studio. That's pretty crazy. So the average apartment price here as of 2023, when I'm filming this video, is $1 million. Now I would say $1 million is pretty spot on for New York City, and the average at the time of recording this video for all of Manhattan is actually $1 million. So it's not extremely overpriced from the buy side right now. So what kind of homes can you find here in Chelsea? Well, I would say honestly, literally everything. You can find doorman buildings, walk-ups, there's even townhomes here. There is a good amount of new construction in the neighborhood, and with new construction comes really crazy amenities. But also remember, new construction means that there's also construction taking place in the neighborhood on the streets. So depending on where you live, that might be something that you need to be aware of as well. The views can be absolutely incredible from homes in Chelsea. Now, Chelsea is a waterfront neighborhood, so depending on where you live and depending on how high up you are in the building, you could have views of the West Side waterfront, so that's incredible, and also the Jersey skyline as well. Then also, if you're facing north, you could have views of the Empire State Building. That is always a plus in Chelsea. I hear so many people who want that as a real estate agent. So overall, the location itself of Chelsea is really great. Now, it is a downtown neighborhood. Let's take a look at some of the other neighborhoods that Chelsea borders. Now, on the southern side, it's bordering Meatpacking District in the West Village. On the northern side, it's bordering Hudson Yards. And on the east side, it's bordering the Flatiron District. Now, if you're familiar with these neighborhoods, you can probably agree that it does not get better than that. It really doesn't. You have a little bit of everything between Chelsea and all these surrounding neighborhoods. You have the dining, the coffee shops, the trendy cafes in the Meatpacking District in the West Village. Then you have all the convenience of the shopping and the dining scene in Hudson Yards and Flatiron District as well. So you really have everything right here. The transportation is relatively good in Chelsea. Now, it's always going to depend in any neighborhood where you live in that neighborhood. Because if you live close to a subway line or bus station, if you're going to take the bus, then it's going to be convenient for you. But if you live out all the way west, that's when you're not as serviced with some of this public transportation depending on where you are. So you're gonna have all your main west side subway lines here, your ACE, your 123. And like I said, there are a lot of different bus stops here as well, so you can catch a bus pretty much anywhere in Manhattan. So let's talk about the daily shopping here, like running errands and things like that. Since most New Yorkers walk to get their groceries, this is going to be very important to focus on. Brace yourself. This neighborhood has a Whole Foods, a Trader Joe's, and a Fairway. Like, it does not get better than that. No neighborhoods have all these options. It's just so convenient, I can't get over it. Honestly, surprises me just saying that out loud, even though I already know all these grocery stores exist in this neighborhood. So if you're not familiar with Fairway, Fairway is a bigger local grocery store here in New York City. Now, they only exist in New York City and a few of the other suburban surrounding areas. So if you're not familiar with that, it's a very known grocery store here. So if you look at the Flatiron District too, there's also some other big box retailers like Home Depot, they have TJ Maxx, Bed Bath & Beyond, at the time of this video at least, and a lot of other shopping as well between both neighborhoods. I'm the type of person who loves supporting local. I don't want you to think that I'm all about these like big box chain stores from this video, because I really am not. But at the same time, sometimes some of the local places in New York City can be very pricey. But it's good to be able to have both options in the neighborhood. When it comes to dining, Chelsea has so many good restaurants. They have high-end, they have casual, literally a little bit of everything for everyone. Then if you consider the dining scene in all the surrounding neighborhoods, you literally don't have to leave that bubble of Chelsea and the surrounding neighborhoods. There are also a lot of really good brunch spots. If you're into brunch on the weekends, you're gonna have a bunch of options here in the surrounding neighborhoods. And I do have to say, not all restaurants in Chelsea are super pricey. You can definitely find some more like low-key casual spots as well. It's not like one of these West Side neighborhoods where everything is going to be an arm and a leg when it comes to price. Like I said, you can find a little bit of everything. When it comes to the nightlife bar scene, Chelsea is the type of neighborhood where you actually can like go out in the neighborhood. There are some neighborhoods where they do have a like late night bar scene, but you don't go out per se in those neighborhoods. Like you don't go clubbing and listen to a DJ in those neighborhoods. Chelsea, you can definitely do that. But you also have a casual bar scene as well if you're just looking to like grab a drink at night and not go out. The one thing I love about this neighborhood is there's a lot of rooftop options. You can only imagine what the late night scene is with these rooftops. And I do have to say, the ages do vary area, these spots, it's not all super, super young. But overall, the neighborhood has everything from dive bars to speakeasies. Drinks will probably be on the more expensive side just because it is downtown and it is the west side. I always say that for the most part, drinks in downtown Manhattan tend to be a little bit more expensive on the west side than the east side downtown. But overall in the neighborhood, you can really find any type of vibe that you're looking for. And also, I forgot to mention, there's also a really good gay bar scene here as well in Chelsea. Now to talk about coffee shops. Now, if you know me, you'll probably know that coffee shops is probably one of my favorite categories to talk about. I think that sometimes I actually prefer like hanging out at a coffee shop more than a bar. I know that's crazy, but I'm just a little weird like that. They have a ton of cute little coffee shops in this neighborhood. Then if you also consider the West Village in that, I mean, there's just so many to pick from. Now there's a lot of really good takeout spots in the neighborhood. I know it doesn't really matter as much because with all these delivery apps, you can pretty much wherever you live in Manhattan get food delivered from anywhere in the borough. So it doesn't really matter so much to have things in your actual like neighborhood anymore, but it is kind of nice that you can just leave your apartment and grab something to eat if you need to and not wait for one of these delivery apps to come to you. And this neighborhood has a ton of delivery options, all different types of cuisine. You have pizza, you have different ethnic foods. There's just so much to pick from. I wouldn't exactly classify Chelsea as a quiet neighborhood just because there is a lot of action taking place here. Now with that, it always depends on where you live in the neighborhood because there are going to be some streets quieter than others. If you live on the avenue, it's always going to be louder living on an avenue versus a like off street. And remember, in this neighborhood, there is a late night bar scene here and a club scene here. So it definitely will get louder here at night on the weekends or weekends-ish, more so on the avenues where most of the clubs are going to be. This neighborhood could be touristy at times because of the surrounding areas. So you have the High Line nearby, you have Little Island nearby now, you have Hudson Yards. So there's a lot of tourists that are coming into Hudson Yards for shopping. You're next to the Flatiron District where a ton of tourists are coming in. And also there's tourists going in and out of the West Village as well. So because of this, you're going to have tourists in Chelsea. Compared to some neighborhoods, it's not oversaturated with tourists, but you should expect to see some tourists there from time to time. So during like the weekday work time, there are commuters, people coming in for work. It's not a ton, especially compared to like midtown neighborhoods, but there are people who do work in Chelsea. There is somewhat of an office scene there as well. So now to go into why I would or why I wouldn't live in this neighborhood. I don't typically love to share my personal opinions because I don't think that my opinion should sway you either way because I think that picking your New York City neighborhood is such a personal decision. So I never want to sway people. But after getting a lot of feedback from different people as a real estate agent, I've heard that people do want to hear my opinion to kind of get an idea of where my mind is at with the neighborhood. So I'm going to share it with you. So I'm a weird New Yorker that likes really quiet neighborhoods. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, there was a time in my life that I would have done anything to live in Chelsea. Where I am today in my life, Chelsea wouldn't be the right neighborhood for me right now because I like peace and quiet and to be away from the crowds. So Chelsea really isn't that. Again, it can depend on where you live in Chelsea, but compared to the neighborhood that I live in right now, which is Battery Park City, it's night and day, very night and day. And I'll have another video at some point kind of comparing these two neighborhoods, I'm sure. However, on the opposite side, between the dining, the bar scene, the shops, there's so many amenities in this neighborhood that honestly, sometimes it's a little bit tempting just because there's so much convenience here that in the neighborhood that I live in now, I don't have all this convenience there. In my 20s, I would have done anything to live in Chelsea. But I also don't want you to think that it's only people in this age group that live in this neighborhood. Not at all, by any means. It's actually very diverse. There's a little bit of everyone there. It's not one of those neighborhoods where it's just like super young only. That is 100% not the case. So I would love to know, would you live in Chelsea or are you in the process of considering living in Chelsea? As always, I just love hearing from you guys.